This is likely to be a total disruption, upending of our civilization. And in the worst case scenario, it could cause human extinction. The companies are now investing giant amounts of money.
NVIDIA is making a $100 billion investment in OpenAI.
This is the largest AI cluster in the world. 100,000 GPUs is built to power Grok.
Why are companies building these things? The real reason, the goal is to not give people the tools that will just make them more productive, but to replace people. So if you have an agent that can fully replace a software engineer that's making $150,000, $200,000 a year, and you can replace it with an AGI system and charge $20,000 for that, that's a giant business proposition. So to get you thinking about this, I would like to first give you a little pitch for my new law firm. There's a legal advisor, there's a client. The legal advisor gives free legal advice on the basis of data that they get from their client. And then the legal advisor just takes that data and sells it to companies that can then generate ads for those people. So is anyone troubled by this a little bit? Don't worry, because I fixed it. It's an AI legal advisor. If you can capture a significant fraction of all the intellectual labor that is happening in the world, funneling it through one company, that is an enormous prize. And that is the prize that they are after. These companies and these people are locked in a race that they cannot easily get out of. And a big question I think is who decides? We don't have to build superhuman general purpose AI. Who's going to decide whether we do it or not? Well, it's kind of these guys. Company leaders themselves. You can look up their values of P-Doom on Wikipedia, some of them. They're not zero. When asked what happens when things start to get scary, they say things like, well, we'll pause. We tried in early 2023, put out a letter that said, let's pause. This is a really big deal. Advanced AI could represent a profound change in the history of life on Earth. We and 30,000 other people or so asked for a little pause. Nobody paused. They could have paused. The government did not step in and make that happen. The idea that as the money is bigger, the prize is closer, the incentives are stronger, then they're going to pause. Seems laughable to me. If you compare what a model does and then what a state-of-the-art model does a year later, things have just rapidly increased. Feels like we're seeing something almost every day. It's improving. That time scale was years, and then it was at months. This is happening now. This is imminent. I'm projecting that within a couple of years, capability is going to be tangibly progressing on a time scale of weeks or less. If you imagine 50 weeks, that's 50 tangible improvements. Not only that the AI systems are getting more and more powerful, but that the improvement is also speeding up. Elon is currently at 1 to 5 years. Dario Amodei, 2 to 5-ish. Sam Altman at 2 to 5. Even the skeptical experts are now in the 5 to 10 year range. We're even having to invent new tests, the latest one being the ominously entitled Humanity's Last Exam. Teams of professionals getting together to build specific exams that are hard for AI, exams that no human could actually do on their own. This is like teams of professionals. So we've seen this huge progress. If you had the button that would delay AGI and superintelligence for 5 years, how many people would push it? I'd slam that button. Most of the public would slam that button. There is some opportunity there, but the coordination is not there. A different agent has to step in. That agent is almost certainly the government. What that could look like is not that weird if you had new weight loss drugs. It's a big race. Nonetheless, they have to test those drugs to make sure that they're safe. I came up with a new weight loss drug. Almost certainly works. It might kill a lot of people, but we can't stop because otherwise some other company will deploy it before us. We would never take this seriously. AGI and AI is in this weird exceptionalist thing that has come out of the tech industry, which has been very unregulated. But now we're getting to systems that are going to take actions in the world, have real consequences for people. So the main thing we need to do, if you have an AI system, show us that you can control it. Not that big of a thing to ask, guarantee that. They're doing evaluations and those evaluations come back and say, well, when pressed, this AI system tries to escape and copy itself onto other things. This doesn't seem great. See you next time with the next bigger model. There's no this is catastrophically not the right way to develop AI systems. This is madness. They think that developing AGI or superintelligence is going to give them power. This is just wrong. AGI is something that is going to absorb rather than grant power. This is something that is going to act on its own. It's going to have goals that will almost inevitably conflict with human goals. They will give us advice that is good over and over again, and so we'll just start listening to it and pressing yes, yes, yes. We will give them power even if they don't take it. The idea that we will have, a person that is in charge of this superintelligent system that is thinking 1,000 times faster than them, and that they're going to be in charge of that doesn't make any sense. They're thinking of it as a tool. What they're building is not a tool. The US and China both have to understand this. If they build AGI and superintelligence, that is not something that will suddenly make US ruler of the world or China the ruler of the world. That is something that will make super intelligence the ruler of the world. If a race can't be won, you choose not to enter that race. We realized that it was a bad idea to have nukes in space. You could drop nuke from space really quickly, no defense against it. Let's come up with an agreement that we're both not going to do that because it's very destabilizing. We're going to need something similar with AGI and superintelligence. People think, oh, you could never control AI because it's software. You can just copy it. People are doing it all over the place. Chips are everywhere. A lot of the news on this topic is bad, but here's some good news. The custom chips that these AI systems are trained on are the most amazing and complex and sophisticated artifacts that humanity has ever built. 100 billion transistors on this little wafer. They're all built with machines that are developed by one company in the Netherlands. Nobody else can make these machines. And the chips themselves are designed by a handful of companies. NVIDIA and AMD and Google make some. So there's an incredibly tight supply chain. Way harder to build one of these chips than to enrich uranium. IBM can't do it. Intel can't do it, even though they're trying super hard. So that means there's an incredibly tight supply chain, but it's actually much better than that, because if I leave my phone lying around and someone swipes it, that's super annoying. Like, I don't have my phone, but also they don't have my phone, because as soon as this happens, I will say, Apple, please deactivate my phone, and my phone will become a brick. You can do it with a $500 phone. You can do it with a $20,000 GPU. Even the mechanisms for doing that on the hardware level exist in current GPUs like the H100 and further generations. We could know exactly where every high-powered AI chip goes. We could monitor how much computation it's doing. One of the first things that people say when you talk about AI getting out of control is what? Shut it down, unplug it, turn it off. We have to have a way of actually doing that. So if the AI system is super intelligent and doesn't want to be shut off, we need to build that into the system. A very robust way to do that, if the chips have to continually ask for permission to keep running, then you don't have to shut off the system by like pulling the kill switch. You just have to stop giving permission. What's called a dead man switch, and this is totally doable. These are sort of risks that are also ethical issues. Cybersecurity risks from AI that can not just program, but can hack. Proliferation of risky tech. If you can have an AI system that knows how to design biological weapons or chemical weapons, let's hope that it doesn't get into the hands of people who want to design those. AI is getting built into weaponry, into autonomous weapons that can kill people. So there's a lot of issues and a lot of ethical considerations around all of these. There's a risk of loss of control if your personal assistant is way more competent than you are and makes better decisions and get things done faster. At some point, you're not really calling the shots, right? Your personal assistant is telling you what to do and you're saying, okay, yeah, do that thing. Most of the AI that people are experiencing now feels like a tool, and it's not something that's going to run amok on its own. AGI would be something that is much more autonomous than that. And autonomy is not in itself a bad thing. Autonomous vehicles are also great. But again, we don't want an autonomous vehicle that is motivated to like try to gain huge amounts of power in the world. Like, that makes no sense. Like a hammer, it doesn't go off and do crazy stuff. It hammers the stuff that you want it to do. We don't have to combine the autonomy and the intelligence into one package that is meant to wholesale replace people. And so at some level, it's very simple. Don't do the crazy thing that is going to build human replacements and run away into superintelligence. That is unfortunately the road we are heading down right now. Why are companies investing $1 trillion in AI, throwing giant amounts of computation and giant amounts of data, translates very unexpectedly into these very powerful, very competent models? As you crank up the amount of computation, those capabilities increase. You see that more computation equals more capability. We can guarantee is that this general purpose AI is going to get better. Why do we think that? The more training, the more data, the better they are. So this is the number of computations, truly astronomical numbers of like 10 to the 24. You can see GPT-4 is that diamond way at the top. This is basically the amount of error. As you get more training, it very smoothly gets more and more accurate. So we pretty much know if we go farther and use more computation, the model is going to get more accurate. And so what happens if we do that again? What happens if we 10x the number of synapses? So that would look like extending this graph a little bit farther. If we think of someone with 10 times the synapses learn stuff for 300 years, what would that person be like? Probably pretty smart. You can easily imagine something that is reasonably competent lab assistant that helps you out, but isn't a super genius at Nobel Prize winning biologist. It helps you out in the lab. This is good. Or things like AlphaFold, super intelligent, but very narrow, not autonomous. It's just that triple combination that we have to avoid. Now, I should say, this is making it sound a little bit easier than it actually is. And the reason is because if you try to build something that is just very intelligent, it turns out that it is useful to make it more general. And if you make something that is very general, it turns out that it tends to get more autonomous. These things do drag each other toward this triple combination, and it will take actual effort and have the right incentive structures for it. So I do think it's possible. The alignment research is way behind the capabilities research. We're like way closer closer to figuring out how to build AGI and superintelligence than how to control it. We don't know how to make AI systems deeply care about something in a way that we can feel sure of and can't just be like undermined in some way. Beneath the persona is that base model. This is the origin of that Shoggoth meme. The tentacled monster is there and it's got a happy little smiley face on it. So we don't know how to do it. The current plan, we're going to build a capable AI system and then we're going to use it to do our alignment research for us. Oh, smart AI system, please tell us how to control you and how to align you to our wishes. Doesn't make any sense. It's like a fern controlling General Motors. So there's a fern that we want to have taken care of by General Motors. And a kindergartner says, oh, look at the beautiful fern. I want it to be taken care of. So the kindergartner says, okay, I've got this hard problem. General Motors, it might be building a factory that's going to hurt my fern. There's a first grader. I'll convince the first grader. First grader says, crap, I can't control General Motors either. But there's a second grader. So they convince the second grader to help them. And they go all the way up, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, high schooler, manager, all the way up to the CEO of General Motors. Is the fern now actually in control of General Motors? No. General Motors might take care of the fern, but it is going to take care of the fern exactly to the degree that the shareholders and other executives at General Motors happen to care about ferns. It's going to have nothing to do with the whole chain of instructions. You haven't undone the impossibility of that problem by breaking it up into many smaller problems that just add up to the same impossibility. And so that's my concern about this direction. You know, I get the vision. We're not in a great spot. People are feeling quite pessimistic about the future. Can we have someone else in charge, some other thing that will save us from ourselves? That will be the AI world that we're sort of spectators and not really participants in. So that is a decision we have to make. It's a handful of CEOs of tech companies who are deciding what this is. So if we have obedient super intelligences that just do what people tell them to do, that is probably a super dangerous world also. If we just dump a whole bunch of obedient super slaves, whatever their owner told them to do, they would just immediately do with Superman's powers. What would that world look like? That is a destroyed world. I guess everybody fights it out with their slave superhero and fights all the other slave superheroes. On the other hand, if we have sovereign agents, we're not in control of them and we're not going to get it back. What is the world that we want to build with these? We would want to actually understand the science and the engineering of these systems before building them. If you asked someone 10 years ago, what are the things that you must not do? They'd be like, okay, whatever you do, keep it in a box. Don't hook it up to the internet. For the love of God, don't teach it how to program. You probably don't even want it talking to you because it's going to convince you of all kinds of crazy stuff. If you go down the list of things that you must not do, we're just running through them and doing those things. Programming in particular, the reason it is very risky is that that is the gateway to them improving themselves. They are building AI programmers, not just because they want to help, but also because they want to replace AI researchers. They can do AI research faster, and that's the intelligence runaway. So this is just complete madness. Not only are they like, oops, I'm accidentally doing it the dangerous way, they're deliberately doing the super dangerous thing so that they can race to the end fastest. So there are all these very, very, very disruptive things, some of them super large, like nobody having any economic value anymore.
This rate's very high on the bigness meter. I brought a bigness meter. So where is AI? It's safe to say that it's going to be somewhere in between computers and the beginning of life. Now that's a bold statement. Computers are a big deal, but AI is fundamentally changing the way we do computational tasks. Beginning of life, that seems grandiose, but really we are generating a new sort of intelligent thing. This could be the beginning of a very long time of AI in the universe, but it's all pretty far on the bigness meter.
Now everybody's doing AI policy. Everybody sees that this is incredibly important.
We're at a very interesting place as a species. There's been millions and millions of years of intelligence. There's been 100,000 years or so of Homo sapiens, but we're really at a turning point. So we've got big questions and big decisions. We all, I think, have to engage with that, because if we don't ask those big questions, if we don't make those big decisions, other people will simply make them for us. Thanks for listening. Pleasure to be here.